Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are tackling a massive trap hiding inside every call to revitalize the church. We're going to look at why simply dumping more theological data onto a congregation is not the actual path to spiritual depth. It's a really subtle trap, actually, so let's unpack what true depth really looks like.
Let's kick things off with a pretty terrifying statistic from the data. Right now, a mere 4% of American adults hold a biblical viewpoint. 4%. And, when you look at Generation Z, that number drops to literally 1%. What we're looking at is a documented, fundamental hollowing out of the church's core. Faced with that kind of collapse, the natural, instinctive reaction for serious Christians and church leaders is to say, we've got to go deeper. And hey, on the surface, that is absolutely the right response. The cultural shallows clearly aren't cutting it anymore. We instinctively know we need to return to depth. So we immediately reach for the heavy tools. We call for more catechism, a revived family altar, much longer expository preaching, and strict membership teaching for new believers. Now, these are all fantastic. Actually, they're absolutely necessary correctives. But we tend to assume that simply restoring this doctrinal density is the ultimate guaranteed fix. But here is where we can so easily draw the exact wrong conclusion. We start assuming that depth simply means more information. Like we think it just means packing more content into a sermon, having the youth group memorize more questions, or hitting a higher score on a worldview inventory. We equate depth with density. Think about the paradox here. If depth is just data, you could actually have a congregation that is completely overflowing with theological facts, literally data-rich, but entirely bone-dry in their actual faith. They could know significantly more, and yet love God significantly less. If all we're doing is pushing more information, we aren't curing the disease of the modern church. We're really just creating a more literate, highly educated version of the exact same crisis. A room full of people who can ace a theology exam, but whose hearts are totally unchanged, that's just literate shallowness.
I mean, consider this chilling reality from James chapter 2. Even the demons hold perfectly sound doctrine without a single error. They know the theology perfectly, and they actually tremble at it. But obviously they aren't saved by any of it. Flawless information, completely devoid of love, doesn't equal spiritual life. Holding perfect, error-free doctrine without any actual affection for God isn't true spiritual depth. It's really just possessing information about the deep. Yes, thin content can't produce thick affection, but thick content all by itself, that's not the finish line. To really grasp what true depth actually looks like, we need to look back at a historical anchor, Jonathan Edwards. In a massive survey looking at 300 years of Protestant preaching, Edwards ranked number 1. He was pastoring during the First Great Awakening, and his methodology gives us the exact corrective we need right now. Edwards was exceptionally brilliant. He preached some incredibly heavy stuff, metaphysics, soteriology, but here's the kicker. He didn't just preach data. He masterfully preached to the affections, and he never detached those deep truths from the conscience of his listeners. He didn't just want them taking notes. He wanted them transformed. And this hits right at his core philosophy. In his famous work on religious affections, Edwards argued that true religion isn't just notional knowledge, just your brain politely nodding along to a fact. No, true religion, he argued, consists in holy affections. So what exactly are holy affections? It's a knowledge of God that goes way past the intellect. It reaches out, grips the human will, and actually warms the heart. It's when knowing God turns into a deep fear, love, and delight in God. That is the true destination of all our teaching. Honestly, this is exactly why worldview researchers insist that we have to measure behavior right alongside belief. Real, authentic obedience doesn't just come from being instructed. When the heart loves what the mind knows, right behavior becomes the visible residue of those rightly ordered affections. This means we really need to rethink our tools. Doctrinal density, the catechisms, they are not the destination. They are the trellis. They're vital for sure, but they exist purely to support the living vine of a rightly affected congregation. Because, let's be real, nobody plants a garden just to stare at a wooden trellis. Think about how this progression works. We memorize the questions so the truths can be understood. We understand them so they can be believed. And we believe them so that finally they can be loved. It's a straight line from the intellect down to the affections. And why is this absolutely crucial for you and the next generation? Because a doctrine that is loved is a doctrine that actually holds under pressure.
If you want a faith that survives the brutal pressures of college and culture, you need a foundation of love and trust, not just a bunch of memorized conclusions. Recovering the deep wells of the church, then, means recovering doctrines set on fire. We're not talking about cold facts delivered to a bunch of passive note-takers. It's truth that penetrates all the way down to the heart and then bursts outward into how a person actually lives. Think back to that incredible scene in Nehemiah chapter 8. The Levites are reading the law, giving the sense of it to the people. And what happened? The people weren't just academically informed, they wept. And then they were sent out to feast with great joy. The truth hit their hearts, and real revival followed. So here is the massive warning we have to take away from all this. If a church catechizes like crazy, but never aims at the affections, it's going to succeed at something pretty tragic. It'll raise a generation that knows all the exact right answers, but absolutely does not love the God who gives them. And guys, that outcome is not renewal. True renewal means knowing God in a way that grips the will and fundamentally changes the life. Anything short of that, no matter how heavy the sermon is really just a more educated shallowness. I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought for this explainer. As we try to rebuild in this cultural moment, are we just trying to build data-rich congregations, or are we laboring for a people who passionately love the God who gives the answers? Because how we answer that question changes absolutely everything. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you in the next one.